Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you guys for joining us today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm Brett Tadke, founder of PubCon. Thanks for joining us this is our very first one of these, very first webinar. We've got 4 already locked in, planned. Look for advertisements or posts about that coming up in the next week. So I appreciate you guys being the first kind of guinea pigs here for this new format, new series to go alongside PubCon and Search Engine World and even Webmaster World. So we're going to be talking today with 3 just old pros of agency life. And we're going to dive right into what's hot in the agency world and SEO. As you know, over the last year, we have just been in absolute chaos with search. AI just threw a spanner in the works, as they say in the UK. And I think you'll find it really enjoyable to hear from these guys because they all have unique experiences. So let me start down in Fort Lauderdale. I got Joe Laratro. Joe is founder and president of Tandem Interactive. Thanks for joining us, Joe. So what's going on in your business these days?
So I would say we've had some pretty challenging Google updates since December, where historically we've had really nice growth in clients year over year. For the first time, I mean, there's some changes going on that is having negative impact. Could be down 20%, could be down 50%. And they're not, I mean, they're definitely algorithmic, but they're challenging to deal with and figure out how we're going to come back from some of these declines. And it's not just AI. I mean, for sure, we knew 2 years ago that the AI was going to start lowering traffic, but these are different and they're volatile.
Okay, we'll get into that. Good starting point right there. We'll get into that in a minute here. So up in Detroit, I got Ryan Jones, who is SVP of SEO at the big old Razorfish SEO firm. Marketing firm. You guys are full service, aren't you?
We are.
Yeah. So what's going on in the agency world these days?
Oh, change is the only constant in the agency world, right? So we're just helping clients navigate the new ecosystem, whether it's the AI search or using AI and how they navigate that to get stuff done, and just keep them busy with the new challenges, whatever they may be day to day.
Excellent. I appreciate you joining us. You kind of bring the odd man out here, being in house at an agency. It's really a unique perspective you have. So. And last up, outside of Boston, is Eric Enga. How you doing, Eric?
Doing good, Brett. How about you?
Excellent. Eric is the founder of Pilot Holding. You may know him better as the founder of Stone Temple, and he had a nice big exit out of that a few years back. So Pilot Holding is his new firm. So what's going on in your world these days for small agency?
I got to tell you, just echoing what Joe and Ryan said, there's just been so much change, so many things going on. I believe Google has been prepping for this AI thing for years prior to the actual release by OpenAI, ChatGPT. I think it came sooner than they thought, and it got pushed on them in a way they didn't expect. But Joe, you said 20 to 50%. The average of those two is exactly the average of what I'm seeing. 35% traffic drop, and it's just like it's just gone. Forget about that. It's not coming back.
Right.
I mean, the number might move around a bit, and we all need to adjust to that. But then we have this new thing. I'm sure we'll talk about it more: generative engine optimization and optimizing for AIOs and ranking in ChatGPT and other engines, and branding value and click value and so many new things to analyze about how to make those things work. So there isn't a lack of things to do, I'll tell you that much.
Right. Well, let's start there. Out at PubCon in, already all back in October, Will Reynolds made the point that although pure raw referrals and clicks are down, his conversion rates are up. He thinks the quality of traffic is higher from AI than it was before. And Google, the quality of traffic even coming out of Google is better than it has been in quite a while. Have you guys been seeing that? Are your conversion rates up as well? Or why don't you start with Eric?
Oh, sure. when there's intent, there's intent. And that's the thing we need to internalize is when users know that they want to do something, doesn't get satisfied by a few paragraphs of text, or maybe there's a few paragraphs of text that starts, but they need to do further research. They're going to go do other things, and those are the more motivated people. So what we don't know yet is how much loss there really is in terms of business opportunity. There's some, I'm sure, but it's not 35%.
It's not going to be made up for. Joe, have you seen that at all? Have conversion rates gone up in with your clients?
So I would say in 2024 for sure conversion rates were up, but this latest, I think, algo changes, the way to refer to it, from December, January, even February, the conversion rates are up year over year, but they're not making up for the decline in traffic. So in that case, like Eric said, I mean, business is going to be down a little bit.
Okay. Ryan, you echo that, or?
I'm going to make this a true SEO webinar and say it depends. That out there.
Thank you.
But just, it depends on the business. And we're seeing some clients where conversion rates are down and some clients where, it's not really been affected. And, I'll echo what Eric said. There's an old quote from Bill Gates, when they launched Live, I think, or Bing, where he said the future of search is verbs. And, Eric said user intent. Users are trying to do something. And for so long, we made our industry about ranking for informational queries like what time is the Super Bowl, how old is Taylor Swift, et cetera. And that traffic's going away. It's going to AI, and it's never coming back. But whenever the user wants to do something or has an intent, like Eric said, or accomplish a task, that's where us SEOs are still going to come in. And it might not be a web page, right? For the longest time, a web page is the best we had. But users might not want to close our alert notification, our cookie consent, sign up for our email, close 3 autoplay ads, and finally do their action. There might be a better way to do it. And I promise I'll keep this short, but it reminds me of a conversation I had 15 years ago with a CMO of a publicly traded company where they were like, hey, you want to do this homepage takeover for us on this holiday? And he goes, no, it didn't give us any traffic last year. And the sales rep for that company said, okay, Toyota wants it anyway. And the CMO said, wait a minute, we'll take it. And it was like, wait a minute, right? And I see AI the same way. It's going to recommend somebody's brand. Someone's going to be mentioned in there, and it may not lead to conversions, but I'd rather be there than have my competitor be there. And I think we need to start thinking in that type of context.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Agreed. The overviews are a good place to brand. Boy, that's solid branding when you're mentioned in one of the AI overviews. So, speaking of AI, let's jump into some practical stuff. What are you guys using for AI? Automation? Are you using it for reports, for clients? How are you doing it hands-on with SEO? Who wants to go first? I had this originally one for Ryan. I teed you up for this one.
And I guess I'll start. So yeah, it's AI has been very precautious use at the agency level. A lot of clients, especially, we all saw the early horror stories with places like Bankrate that, couldn't get their interest rate calculation right when they posted that article. Or, the famous article, NBA star useless at 40, right, for an obituary. Like we all saw the horror stories. And so it's been kind of cautious. I feel like a lot of people are just like, oh, AI can create this content, but I'll just say nobody wants randomly created AI content. So I think we've been trying to keep human in the loop. And where can we use AI to do the boring stuff that we hate doing and make that easier, make it, free up our team to do the important creative work and let AI do the boring stuff that no one wants to do. And so it's been a kind of a fine line on how to use it. We're using it. One such feature, and I'll share this at PubCon, is we feed in a ton of data to an AI system and have it create content outlines, but all the data is coming from various other sources. We're not just asking AI to meet an outline. We are curating data from a bunch of sources through this pipeline to feed it in, and then giving that outline to humans to write the content instead of just asking AI. And that's working extremely well. And I think that's the approach we need to go with, because otherwise it's just a sea of sameness. If everybody's asking AI just to do it for me, they're all going to get the same answers, and we're all just going to have the same stuff out there. And so it's really is, where do the humans use AI to provide that extra value? And that's kind of where we're focusing.
Are you using it in any of your SEO processes at all? Keyword research,
Yes.
analyzing pages? So, okay.
Yeah, we've used it mostly for content outlines is our biggest use, but we've done some cool stuff, whether it be, and I'm going to do a PubCon talk analyzing all this, like what's better to use AI and what's not better to use AI for. But there's some cool stuff with intent modeling and categorization, and even not so much generative AI, but AI in a sense for redirect mapping and things like that. Especially if you can vectorize stuff and do it at that level with AI, you can do some really powerful stuff there.
Excellent. How are you using it, Eric?
So, very similar to what Ryan said. I'll use just different phraseology. That's the way I think about it, which is think of Gen AI, I'm going to be specific to generative AI for the moment, as your brainstorming partner in conducting a whole bunch of tasks. So, just to start with a very simple example, you have the writer who starts with a blank sheet of paper, and even if they're a subject matter expert, that's the hardest part of the process right there, right? Is like how to get started. And if you have a generated outline, that's a great place to start. I actually like to have it generate 3 and have the writer merge them, and they can take the stuff out that doesn't fit so good and kind of fill some of the gaps that the first outline might not do. And then there's other things like have it go source facts and statistics on your topic. Have it build a list of trends for you. And so before you start writing, you have all this information sitting there. And this is just one example. It kind of lets you hit the ground running and get over that initial writer's block and still add real human value to one of Ryan's points from a moment ago. The human in the loop kind of thing. So that's still there, but it just makes the whole thing easier for the human.
Yep. I heard a good one the other day. Have it generate whatever you need it to write, like 5, 10 paragraphs, whatever, and then tell it, give me 20 random words, and then follow up with, use 5 of those words and rewrite your previous writing for me. And it will think about those random words, and you will get an entirely different kind of prose out of it. It's really an interesting process to try that. So I've done it 3 or 4 times, and it just amazed me how much better the writing was. So. Joe, how are you guys using it? Are you using it at all for local stuff at all, or?
Well, Eric stole my thunder because I would say ideation. I mean, for us, there's no more writer's block. I mean, it's just that's the easiest answer of any content team. There's no writer's block. We've been working on some clients 15 years. It's like, how can you keep writing about the same thing? You just get a list of ideas so fast, and then you can cherry pick the best ones and then add some geo modifiers, and there's your local. It's really amazing. And then research. I mean, again, in the local aspect to research, local events, local things, get links, table format. I mean, it's so fast. It's making us more efficient. And writer's block's gone.
Yep. And it's improving so much over in the last year. It's just the quality of output of the writing has just improved so much, and the speed at which is generating stuff. It used to be so slow, and now it's just really fast. So,
but I don't like the writing. I like the ideation. I like coming up with the ideas and like the maybe outlines. But I still don't like writing. Maybe some editing, but we don't use it for writing.
Well, I like it for ideas when I read its writing. The flow of the paragraphs and stuff. Gotcha. I go back and rewrite everything it puts out. But well, let's stick with you, Joe. I was going to get on to hiring versus outsourcing. How do you break it down? You're one of the few people that started out as a small business that has grown and grown and grown up to 30, 40 employees now, where other folks have stayed independent, solopreneurs and outsource everything. How did you decide to do that way?
I know the exact moment it happened, because from when I started the company, it was exactly a year later, and I was doing the typical SEO site reviews and consulting. And a year later, I'd follow up with the client and say, okay, well, did you do any of that stuff? And they said, no. And I was like, well, you don't need another site review. You need to implement the work from the first one. So that was when I decided, I need to build a team, because I've got to be able to implement the work that we're, suggesting be done. for us today, I really am trying to think about if I'm outsourcing, it's definitely going to be something that we just don't have a good skill set with or the time to deal with. And that would mostly be web design. I would say in-house, we can handle landing pages, email, stuff like that. But I don't want to get involved in building a website from scratch. I mean, it's too much work. The liability that I see, I mean, really, God bless web designers that are good at it and know how to price it. You know, the constant changes and this isn't right. I believe that, at least what I've seen with our clients, that everybody loves their SEO, but at some point they hate their web company, their web design company. And I understand the frustration. So I don't want to deal with that. So that's definitely something I want to outsource, but I don't want to white label it either, because I want them to be responsible and then to manage the relationship. I'm happy to be involved, but I mean, I believe in building the teams the best you can. Even most recently, our social team is like skyrocketing, and I got lucky that I found a really good person that I could build a team around.
Excellent. Eric, now you generally went the other route. How have you decided when to outsource or when to hire in-house? You've had a few employees that I know of. I don't know what your situation is now, but you've always seemed to go the other direction on that.
Well, actually, with Stone Temple, we grew from just me to 70 employees before.
Oh, you had 70?
We sold it.
Wow.
70, yes.
Wow.
At the time we sold it. So it was very much an in-house mentality, similar to what Joe has described, aligned over what we decided were going to be our core areas of expertise. So we didn't want to do the web design stuff either. So, but in my current situation, I'm kind of in a different life situation. So, if I need help, I outsource it. And it's because I'm not looking to build something bigger, and keeping the core areas of expertise to what I can fit in this head right here, and then getting other people to help me with things. But I do think that's really the sort of the turning point is when you start managing people as employees, you take on other responsibilities. So somewhere around 25 people, Joe probably went through a series of nightmares everybody does related to too many people to manage. I need more systems, more formality, and a lot of people don't want that stuff. And that's kind of where I am right now. Is I don't want that stuff this time around.
Okay, good to know. Ryan, you're kind of the odd man out here being in-house, but you do have a small team under you, right?
Yeah, we've got almost 40 SEOs on our team at Razorfish alone. Pretty decent sized team. But the benefit of being part of Publicis, globally publicly traded company and everything, right? The benefit of that is don't really have to outsource. If I need somebody, like I have team members in Colombia right now handling some Spanish language stuff for me on one account. I didn't need to outsource to Spanish language speakers. I just said, hey, a sister company has an office in Colombia. Let's talk to them and use some of their resources and do this, right? Same thing, whether it's India or Costa Rica or, anywhere. We being globally agency, we have people. We have another agency there. So it's kind of spoiled where we can just reach out and partner with them and we don't really have to outsource.
The beauty of being in-house. Yep. Corporate in-house. So let's jump into some practical stuff. One thing everybody always wants to know when it comes up at PubCon about agencies reporting, client reporting. How do you guys go through this process? I know you can flood a client with too much reporting and they have no idea what you've sent them or not enough. And I was at a conference, I guess it was 2 years ago, me and Joe were at one, where one of Joe's clients come up and said, you ought to be doing what this speaker says. And Joe's like, we send it to you every week. Why isn't it on you? We send this exact stuff to you every week. So how do you draw the line? Where do you know where it's too much, not enough, and what do you include? So let's start with Eric. You've been doing this longer than any of us. So
I think the big thing is the expectations vary a great deal by client. So there'll be clients that, actually when it starts with an RFP before you get the client, that there's a certain level expectation of documentation. Not that that's the only tell, but and that's one of the things you have to figure out before you get started in engagement is how many people need to see these reports and what are their roles? Because what the CEO is going to want to see if they care, or most senior executive who sees it, it's going to be quite different from the line person responsible for SEO in the organization. And mapping your reporting strategy to fit the different audiences is kind of a big deal. Now, with a small local business, it's probably comparatively quite simple, right? It's one person, maybe, or, so you don't have the same sort of overhead of just trying to map the whole thing out. So there's an exercise you have to go through to figure out what's going to make them happy. And hopefully you know that before you get into engagement, because they can make the reporting as much work as doing the actual work. So, and you don't want that to happen to you.
Right.
I'll echo that. I think, too often you start a new engagement, no one sits down with the client and says, hey, what are your goals? What's your OKRs? What's your KPIs? What are you responsible for internally that your boss is going to look at? And what metrics are you measured by? And when you know that, your job is to make your client successful. So set her up for success, give her the numbers that she needs to take to her boss and what they care about. And I'll tell you guys a secret. Most of your clients don't care about ranking reports. They don't care about page speed insights. They do not want any export from any SEO tool out there. That is all useful for you and me and all of us to look at in our teams. But I have one client, their main report for the CMO is 2 numbers. And it's literally sales and leads year over year, month over month, week over week. That's it. And that's what he cares about, right? His team can dive into why sales are not where they're supposed to be using all those other metrics. But you need to understand what your client needs and just have that conversation. Ask them, what are your OKRs or your KPIs, or what are you held responsible for? What's your bonus based on? And then tailor your reporting based on that type of stuff.
Yeah. So mine might be a little different here. And I think about Peter Shankman all the time when I'm looking at reports, because I'm always like, okay, here's all the stuff. Ooh, shiny. And I'm, suddenly I'm distracted. And I think the same way that I believe that probably at my age and my stage in life, that a lot of the business owners that I'm interacting with probably think similarly to me, is that they want to see that quick summary. They want to look at those 2 things, 3 things, and they're good. But we also want to back it up. So, I mean, I like on the SEO side, having like a quarterly calendar listing out like all the things we're going to do, so they can go back and look and when it's done, say, okay, like this stuff was done. So it's not just what the results were, but you actually see that the work was done. Because I really don't like when someone's like, oh, we did SEO for 20 hours. You're like, well, what the hell did you do for 20 hours? I don't know. Well, no, here, you got this content, these page refreshes, these sites we tried to do some link acquisition, some paid media or some media outreach, whatever it is, but like detail what work was done and then hit the results. And then the results, I mean, when you can get the actual business data that, okay, in like drug treatment centers, you had 10 beds last month, you got 20 beds or a year ago, and this past month, a year ago, well, now you had 20, like, okay, there's the growth. Or in home services, basically your revenue from the leads to business increased. Those are the numbers that really matter, not the SEO tool report numbers.
Agreed. What are you guys doing right now to attract clients?
Yes.
Everything you can, huh? What are you doing specifically for outreach? Cold outreach or ads? Are you smoking the Google dope? Are you running your own ads on Google?
Yes.
Not me. I've never did any advertising of any kind. Never had any salespeople. Just kind of get out in public. Did public appearances of many kinds. And the only way to become a client was to reach out to us and ask.
Joe?
That was our model, for better or for worse.
Probably like Eric, I annoy a lot of people with this answer, is that we don't do anything, directly outreach. It's inbound. And we have a hard time sometimes just following up with the inbounds effectively. If we could handle all of the inbound from referrals and however people found us, like And SEO, listen, SEO drives pretty well. We have a sister company, Marine SEO, and man, some of the businesses that come in there just from like good content targeting the marine industry, it's amazing. But I mean, I wish we could just close all the inbound business.
Okay. Well, when you do close some of this business, how do you kind of filter out the clients from hell, that are expecting the king's ransom for, pennies? How do you vet these clients coming in to save yourself a headache later on down the road?
Nobody jumping in here. Right, Joe,
Go for it, Joe.
So I like to make everybody happy, and I have a hard time saying no. So I'm not like, when it comes to this, I'm bad because I will, like me personally, I'll over deliver. But luckily, my team keeps me in check. So my team will say, this person it's too much communication, it's too many revisions, we're not charging enough. We're going to get upside down. And I try to give assume that the first couple months might be a little more labor intensive, and we'll make it up when we get further on. But I mean, we actually did just have to fire a client because it didn't make sense. And we had to make sure that we had enough resources for everyone. I mean, good clients and bad clients. But I think a leading indicator would be like too much communication in the beginning and too many questions, and maybe even like too long to answer questions. And then they can spin out that you didn't get back to them fast enough, or I don't know, they don't like being chased for answers. But I mean, those are some good indicators of problems in the beginning.
Ryan, how do you?
I'm kind of spoiled because I have a team that works on, most of this, and they're probably in the comments here sweating at what I'm going to say to this answer. So, but, it all starts with a conversation, and, be open and upfront about budget, goals, expectation, fees, right? Don't be open about that stuff up front. Have that conversation, but it does all start with goals. We just did a training about, it's called the Trusted Advisor, where it's, personality types and how to, basically how to grow trust and how to be trusted. And, trust is pretty much the answer for all of this. Is you have to be trusted by the client. You have to trust the client, and trust is earned. It's not given. And so it all starts with that. And, a lot of the questions in here, whatnot is, it comes to clear statements of work and all that stuff to get rid of the, the scope creep and all the extra stuff. But most of it just starts with an open and honest conversation. And it goes from there.
Yeah, no, I agree with what both Ryan and Joe said. There's this process by which you sell the client and get them to want you as, the service provider. But there has to be enough of that want that you can put some expectations back on them. And that they agree that it's reasonable that you have a profit motive. Not that you discuss that overtly, but,
right.
They can't be expecting 100 hours worth of work for the price of 10, right? Or it just doesn't work. And like Joe said, we've gone through and fired clients for varying reasons, ranging from being asked to do something that we knew that Google thought was illegal, or to just too much demand on our time. And it was like, no, you're not respecting our people at this point.
Right.
And we got to back out of this situation. So
right.
Have a good life.
Thanks for coming. Now get out. Right.
Right.
Oh, let's see. Any questions what Todd want to know here? Beyond driving client volume, how do you work toward client quality? Businesses that want to grow, innovate, and be creative in a way that maximizes your ability to help them succeed. Beyond driving client value, how do you work toward client quality?
I know Todd personally, so I'm sure he wants to hear from Eric and Joe on this one.
Okay. How do you do that? How do you work towards client quality over just, volume of referrals so that they're delivering a quality product that got a quality site? I know Joe and Eric, you both said that you didn't want to be in the design business, but so much of what we do now with landing pages and conversion rates is all so dependent on design. as somebody who can't design, I fully know this and feel this internally daily. So how do you hold up a client into a quality space
But
on there?
is it about, hang on, because I'm curious on the question. Is the question about us getting clients in volume or our clients getting clients in volume? Because I first read it is like, as an agency, do we want client volume or do we want quality clients?
Oh, do you want the quality client? Oh, okay. I thought it was about.
But I might be reading that wrong.
That's how I understood it too, Joe.
Okay, all right.
Okay, go with that route.
So, I mean, that's a good one, because I think that. So I just had a conversation with somebody that I'm potentially going to do a deal with, that he wants to go after volume orthodontics clients, and he wants to get in an amazing monthly, recurring revenue model, and that's volume. But it's volume that you can deliver some pretty good value, I think, to that particular industry, and have volume and do a good job and not have to like really build them out. Where I think that's a specific type of agency or service, where I would say like me and Eric for sure is different, that most of my business coming in, I mean, that's their goal, is that they want to grow and they want to be invested. And even my name Tandem, like I want to work with the client, and I want to be, I was just invited to, I went to a 60th birthday party for one of my clients, the owner of the company. Like I want that kind of relationship with my clients. And I think that it's just a different model. I mean, volume is definitely a different model.
Yeah. And when you think about the kinds of things that we do, there's so much inherent customization, there aren't that many different choices you make in an orthodontist situation in response to it. So volume clients is a little easier to manage. But when you get a bad client in a service business like the ones that the three of us are involved in, it can be a real drag. And it can really be a drag on the business and certainly your day when you have to deal with them. And, I made a decision at one point in time that if I don't have to work with people that I don't want to work with. And, that's all there is to it. Why get into all that? So the really interesting, and I thought this was part of Todd's question too, at least the part that he had in the parentheses. Some of the clients are going to be into trying creative ideas and innovating. And those can be really cool clients to work with, and a lot of fun, because if they know that they're taking risks, then they'll be more likely to be tolerant of the results if it isn't everything that they hoped for. But you can really get engaged and creative. And by the way, when those relationships are working well, those are the people who want you to go to their birthday parties and the like, because you're just so engaged. And there's a lot of trust in the relationship at that point.
Nice. Well, let's change gears here. Is it time for all of us to start optimizing for new alternative platforms? We've heard so much about TikTok, and Bing made a little bit of a splash with their AI. We saw the reports coming in that Google was down 1 full percentage point in share this last quarter. 1 percentage point. The first decrease in a decade for Google. I say it's an accounting error is what it'll be back. But is it time we start optimizing for these alternative channels, whether it be TikTok or Bing or OpenAI LLMs? What do you guys think? Is it time?
Yes and no. Because honestly, I don't think we have to do a lot different to optimize for these channels. I think the reporting tools for most of these channels are terrible right now. Like I've tried to build my own stuff to scrape TikTok, and like I get banned within 24 hours of even trying. Like 10 requests later, they're like, get out of here. They're really good at that. But same thing with AI visibility, right? There's a couple startup tools looking to do well in this, but clients are already asking like, hey, how do I measure my visibility across all of AI? Not just OpenAI, not just Google. Hundreds of tools out there. How do you measure my visibility? And like, there's a few startups trying. I don't know that I've picked one that I'm comfortable enough recommending yet that I think is doing enough job here. But I think we do have to do, and I think I'm changing my messaging internally and externally, on our SEO team to say, hey, AI kind of works. It's not a search engine. We know that, but it works similar to search engines, right? It's vectors, it's information retrieval at the core. And no one is more uniquely positioned to optimize for that stuff or to understand that stuff than the SEO community right now. And I think we need to take advantage of that because there is demand for clients to, how do I get in this service? How do I show up in this? How do I show up here? But in order to do that, we got to stop thinking last click. We got to stop thinking, links and leads. And we got to start thinking like real marketers. We got to start thinking awareness and mobility upper funnel. And I've seen a lot of SEOs struggling to make that shift right now.
Okay. What do you think, Eric?
So I'll put this thought out there, which is there is no platform, inclusive of Google, that wants any business to focus all their marketing energy on one platform. In this case, specifically their platform. And you can even see that from the document warehouse API leaks from Google and the fact that they, their DOJ testimony about what Chrome does, they care a great deal about seeing you get traffic from multiple platforms and that you're not a one-trick pony. They're measuring and tracking this stuff for a reason. But I'm saying this in a long-winded way to get back to agreeing to Ryan that there's a lot of channels that you can do things in, and you should learn to leverage those and take advantage of those, and it's good for your business. It's what's best for you. Is it some social media site? Is it lots of media interviews? There's so many different ways to promote your business, and I think every business needs to be thinking multidimensionally.
So I want to blow up Ryan's head a little bit here, because I'll say to date, the best conversations I've had about looking at your content and optimizing your content, specifically for AI overviews, not just for generative AI, the other platforms, but for AI overviews, which to me, if you're going to optimize to try to get an AI overview, you're probably getting covered by some of the others too, came from Ryan. So, Ryan's done some really amazing analysis. You get a chance to talk to him at PubCon, do it. Super educated conversations, and again, best I've had so far on this topic. Now, in terms of like TikTok and Facebook, Meta, I struggle with this because I've seen success on the paid side in the last 6 months that I've never seen for businesses. But I've also seen businesses that'll focus on absolute amazing organic content, like the best of the best videos. But without a paid component, it really doesn't mean anything. It's an echo chamber. And a specific example I can give too, but one is for a drug treatment center. The most amazing content ever. And I was in a meeting and they were reporting, they're like, oh, your social media platform got 28 clicks last month. And I was like, 28 clicks? What is 28 clicks? I don't care how good the content is. That's nothing. And if they would have put a little bit of money behind it, 28 clicks could have been 500 clicks or 2,000 clicks because their content was so good. So let's switch that to a second for a plastic surgeon. One of my best friends I fish with is a plastic surgeon, and he's invested heavily in his organic social media, and he's getting traffic, but he's getting no business. And then I work with a local one that he's paying and putting ads behind it, and he's getting leads all day long, very, very reasonably, better than we could get in Google. And it's like, where do you go? Are you going to invest all this money in organic, or do you have to have this blended strategy, which, Brett, I think you're going to talk about soon anyways, that there has to be this, great organic, but then you also need to put some money behind it.
Right. Well, aside from Google, what's your top channel that you're getting traffic out of?
It'd be Meta at the moment, but paid, not organic.
Okay. Ryan?
Yeah, it's social media for sure, besides Google. And it's mainly because we don't have good ways to measure AI traffic. Like you can measure it, but it's not well. The tools just aren't there, but measurable traffic, now definitely social media.
Have you seen Eric? Not Google traffic?
Social media. social media for sure, albeit then it gets to which social media site, because you, to Joe's point, to get things to be productive, you have to go to where your customers are. So if they're on TikTok, then you should be on TikTok. But if they're on Facebook or something else, then that's where you should be too. And the right blend of paid and organic is a whole nother thing that you have to work out to make the whole thing make sense. But there are a lot of opportunities.
Are any of you guys playing TikTok at all? Are you getting traffic out of TikTok? Organic traffic, I mean, not paid.
Not organic.
Just
Okay.
just some experiments, nothing major at this point.
Because it's next to impossible to get organic traffic out of TikTok, from what I've heard and seen. How do you do it? They got to click through to the LinkedIn profile, link in bio, and click through, and they just don't. So
it doesn't help that it's a political and regulatory nightmare right now either.
Right.
That's all I'll say on that before my legal team pings me. But okay.
It's good branding though. It's good branding, getting out there. So where else we want to go here? Kevin asks, how would you like to see AI platforms evolve to assist you in your processes?
Data. I want more data. Like all the data. I want Search Console for AI platforms, right? I don't think they're ever going to give it to us, but I want it.
Yeah, they could do that though. They definitely could do that. OpenAI could, for sure. So what else we got here? How are you handling AI overview with your clients? We're getting a lot of clients who see impressions are going down due to query-based AIO. Yep, it's true. How are you guys talking to clients about SGE and AI overviews?
I mean, really only a few things that we know to do at this point, at least that I've seen out there. There's, they like data. They like that you are drawing your information and citing authoritative resources. They like answers presented in a certain structure and way, and maybe you should try to mimic that. And those are the kinds of things I've seen. And then ideally, to Ryan's point, they'll give us some data so we can see when what we're doing is working.
So Joe brought this up earlier, and I shared this with Joe last PubCon, and I'm not trying to plug my own tool, but I'll mention it. Sorry, Brett. But the great thing about AI overviews right now is they're still in their infancy, and they've been patented, and there's research papers. And so we can be reasonably sure that the patents and the research papers are pretty similar to how production's working, because they haven't had time to change and innovate the main production right now. So one of the things I did personally with my tool SERPRECon, and this part of it hasn't launched yet, but it's going to soon, is we kind of reversed AI overviews. And I've been dog fooding this method inside Razorfish once I created it, and I showed Joe's seen it, right? But Google put the prompt they use for AI overviews in their patent. It's there, the exact prompt and the data they feed into it. And we can get that data. We can write that prompt. We have Gemini. So we can almost reverse engineer how they're creating AI overviews. And the cool part about it is I'll even spill the secret sauce, is because it's effort to implement. It's not just do it, but they're using BERT they feed in all the search results. They generate an AI overview, and then they use BERT to extract keywords from that AI overview. And then they go find websites that rank for those keywords. They have to backdoor into citations and showing up there. And so we've been kind of doing the same thing as the patent says, and giving our writers, hey, here's the phrases and keywords we extracted from our generated overview. Let's write some content around this. And holy crap, does it work? I have a client right now where there are, for a broad keyword, I'll actually share it. It's microwave sizes. And 5 links show up, and 3 of them are my client in the AI overview because we follow this process. So nice. It's working well. I have a tool I'll be launching soon that does this, so stay tuned. But there is science behind this, and if you understand the science and know a little bit about AI and programming, you can reverse engineer it right now. And I don't expect that to last for long, but it is definitely possible to dominate the AI overviews right now if you have the right data and the right tools.
Okay. Anything to add, Joe, or not?
No, just that when we get that question, usually it's because they think the traffic's declined. So then we want to go look and say, okay, well, if AI overviews are showing up, why? And like, what kind of questions are they showing up on? And are they questions that are relevant to whether you're going to get the business or not? And in most cases, like if they're going to generate business, the AI overview is probably not showing. I mean, if you're looking for a local specific business, you're not going to get an AI overview of, what's the best local painting company.
Right.
Yeah.
Not yet.
But speaking of patents and algos, yesterday TikTok actually dropped their algo for inclusion on the for you page, how many points you get for watches, full length watches, comments, likes, follows. Go look on TikTok. The whole thing is laid out there. If you've ever wondered how you end up on somebody's for you page, they laid it out for us. So it's pretty cool to read and watch. So now this has been a bit of a preview for PubCon Austin, because these three are going to be on a panel similar to this in Austin with a couple other speakers that run agencies as well. So you'll have your chance to question them live if you want. By all means, sign up for PubCon Austin if you haven't already. Today is the last day for the lowest rates of the year on any PubCon, and the lowest rates we have had in 2 years, pre-pandemic, in fact. So I invite you to do that. We'd love to have you down. We got a great show lining up for Austin. About to announce a couple of keynotes and also working on a couple other big panels as well. So we'd love to have you out. I want to thank our panelists. Joe, appreciate it always.
Got it.
Thanks for all the support. Ryan, of course. Look for his SERP Recon tool. Go check it out. Very, very knowledgeable tool. I have not had an occasion to use it yet because I'm not an SEO anymore. I mean, when you build a conference platform, I'm into it. So, and of course, Eric, longtime supporter of PubCon and speakers. So I want to thank you all for joining us here today. So thank you, guys. We're done.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Oh, we're done.